All right. Greetings, greetings, greetings. Sorry, guys. Hold on. This is what happens, right? When you are not fully prepared. All right, guys. We are live on Burial Babes. Okay. Greetings, greetings, greetings. I hop on here. We can do our show real quick. But it is so good to see you guys. Thank you for being here. All right. As always, something happens when we're doing a live stream. But I can see my audio over here, so we should be good. Okay. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So today, this evening, we have Candace Owens. Okay. So as you know, Candace Owens, she's out there doing her private investigation. Alongside the FBI investigation that's going on, okay? So, hey man, it is what it is. This is where things are at, right? So she's practicing her investigative journalism, okay, if you can call it that. So we're gonna play some of the clips about Candace Owens over here. Then we'll be interacting with them as we go along, okay? But needless to say, we know Candace she's out here doing her thing. All right. So I also have a clip by the real best friend to Charlie Kirk, because Candace Owens is out here telling us, Charlie was my best friend. Charlie was my best friend. So yes, so we'll have him featured out. So let's get started with Candace Owens right here, real quick. Okay. So she's been doing her programs lately, and there's always one thing after the other. So let's take a look at what she shared on this program. Okay, we'll share it. I'll be stopping it along the way. But needless to say, we'll be continuing from Candace Owens, the saga, the investigation by Candace Owens. Okay, so bear with me over here. All right, here we go. Lady Candace, representing Candace Owens. She's out here, doing her thing. Okay, we should be good now. Okay, audio, sound, everything. Good. All right, here is Lady Candace Owens. Okay, let's start with this clip right here. I have a few clips of her, so this one is good. All right, fine.
That just feels a little too close to comfort. And by the way, how do you separate when you're just across the hall? Let's just think that you guys are not speaking to each other anymore. Are we supposed to be the who were being abused, right? They were using their... Okay, I need you guys locked in because things are becoming increasingly interesting, okay? Yesterday, the FBI made a rather curious announcement. They announced that they were going to cut ties with the ADL, right? You know what the ADL is, the Anti-Defamation League. And the reasons, well, because they had listed Charlie Kirk and his organization, TPUSA, to be extremist. Everybody's an extremist according to the ADL. But I want you guys to know that this is not a subtle announcement. We need to unpack this announcement. Because I don't care what side of the aisle that you are on, you need to understand that the ADL is not, nor has it ever been, what it purports to be, okay? Purports to be, we're just looking out and hate speech and extremism. No. The reality is the ADL was born out of a Jewish Freemason organization known as B'nai B'rith. Now, if you're on my book club, you know this, but Sigmund Freud was a member of B'nai B'rith. We were discussing, we're reading right now the book, The Assault on Truth, and Sigmund Freud is very relevant. You have to learn the history of Sigmund Freud. He's in all of our schools, all of our universities, taught as a hero, the history of the psychoanalytic movement. Look, the reality is him and all of his homies were covering up for incestuous child abuse. That is a fact, okay? They can't wipe that stain away. Quite literally, the way that they did this was through the mechanism of gaslighting. That's what he is the father of, public gaslighting, okay? That's what modern psychology is. They moved to instead diagnose people who were being abused, right? They were using their credentials, I'm a this, I'm a that, to make people, maybe the wider public, believe that their gaslighting was actually legitimate. That is what the book, The Assault on Truth, unpacks. It is therefore a must read because you have to realize how horrific the crimes were that were being committed that they were covering for. So Sigmund Freud was in B'nai B'rith, and the ADL was born out of B'nai B'rith. Why? Well, because they put the organization together to defend a pedophile and a murderer. His name is Leo Frank. Leo Frank was an unbelievably wealthy Jewish factory owner down in Atlanta. And this is 1913. It's very relevant. You should know this happened in 1913. And this is the American South. You know what was going on there. And Mary Fake.
Okay, so this is Candace Owens. Yes, Sigmund Freud, he was a crazy guy for real. That's actually true. But Candace Owens has been on this crusade whereby everything she has to connect, it's the Jews, it's the Jews, it's the Jews, which I do think it's absolutely not fair. It's almost like, if you can just reverse that, right? Okay, you have, like a Studio Bomber. Okay, you had Unibomber. He was an American, right? So that means, this is what Americans do. You see what I'm saying? So just substitute whatever she's saying to an American's doing. Like, yeah, you have individual Jews who've done despicable things. Yeah, call it for what it is. Just like if you have Americans who've done despicable things, call those things for what they are, but just doing a broad brush as if like, every American does this. I think that's not how you do things, but you cannot tell that to Candace Owens. Okay, so right now, she's been on this crusade. So I don't know how all these things is connecting to the Charlie Kirk situation. So, but let's hear a little bit more.
Megan was a 13-year-old girl who worked at his pencil factory. She was found brutally raped. Okay, she's a Catholic girl, by the way. I want to say that. She was a young Catholic girl. And Leo Frank, even with all of his money, all of his connections, the best lawyers that money could buy, connections all the way to the Supreme Court, he was so guilty of what happened that despite the fact that he tried to pin it on a poor Black janitor, even in the segregated South, where people were just like, hey, give us any reason and we will go lynch a Black person, the racist segregated South, they still found him guilty, okay? They still found Leo Frank guilty. And so much has been written to try to obscure this still. They are still trying to defend Leo Frank. What happened then is that his buddies over at the Freemasonic Lodge, B'nai B'rith, assembled the ADL to gaslight the public. No, Leo Frank wasn't guilty. Look what happened after. He was lynched for what he did to Mary Fagan. He is actually a victim of anti-Semitism. That's it. He wasn't guilty. I'm sure maybe the Black guy did it in 1913 Atlanta, and everyone conspired to instead attack a wealthy factory owner. Like I said, to this day, they are using those mechanisms to try to gaslight us and to pretend that Leo Frank was really the victim in this tragedy. It's utterly demented. I will never let it stand. He killed Mary Fagan. He is still guilty of that crime, no matter how much the ADL tries to obscure that. And by the way, if you want to learn more, you should learn more about Mary Fagan's murder. I can point you guys, there's a book called The Murder of Little Mary Fagan, and it is written by a relative of hers, and that relative's name is also Mary Fagan. You should read the details of what happened 100 years ago. You should read the facts around it, read the case documents, learn about the brutal rape and the murder and what happened thereafter, because so much has been written since to try to obscure those facts. So go to the family member as a source. Do that in your own spare time. In fact, maybe I should add it to the book club list. Anyways, the reason why I'm telling you that is because it really is a very crucial element of our history that you need to come to terms with, right? The modern media machine, all of these journalists who lie and gaslight, you're seeing it right now, what they're writing about me, it's insane. They are students of effectively the psychoanalytic community. Let's gaslight and then we will diagnose.
So the ADL, has worked with both parties, to be quite honest. Anti-Defamation League. They will have, the Republicans and Democrats, the political wing and everything. They do all those things. So my question to Candace is this, right? Like, more power to you. Let's investigate this. expose it and all those things, right? This little girl was raped and everything, 100%. Okay. But this is the same Candace Owens. Guess what? Friends with who? Andrew Tate. And she went there to interview, Andrew Tate, and she even, backs Andrew Tate, friends with Andrew Tate, despite all the accusations that have been leveled against Andrew Tate. And Andrew Tate, with his own mouth, on video, so many tapes, right? Like, okay, he made his money taking advantage of women, right? Women to be on webcams, all this, right? In the corn industry. So this is how he has made his money. OnlyFans, all these other things, right? But Candace Owens has got no problem exposing that guy who has made money because of those things. No, Candace Owens is friends with that guy. So to him, I'm like, okay, so which is it, Candace? So when it's Andrew Tate, it's not a big deal. But when it's other people, you want those other people to be exposed, but you don't want to expose Andrew Tate? Because even the story that she's giving, and this is way long time ago, long before Andrew Tate, as far as Andrew Tate, stories on video, you just Google it, whatever is printed right there on YouTube, himself on camera telling you this is how he's made his money. Where is a single video of Candace Owens denouncing that behavior of Andrew Tate? You're not going to find it. You're not going to find it. But Candace Owens is out here, men shouldn't be involved in corn, all those things. Yes, and amen to that. Can you give that same message, the same energy when it comes to Andrew Tate? So this is the problem with Candace Owens, right? So she picks and chooses what she wants everybody to be outraged. But the very people who are doing the same things that she's speaking against, she's silent on. So I'm like, okay, sorry, Candace. Okay, if you're gonna talk about this issue that there's involved raping women and all those things, let's apply the same energy, the same measure to these other stories. But that's not what we're getting from, from Lady Candace. So let's listen a little bit more.
Gaslight and diagnose. Seeing it happen in real time pertaining to the Charlie Kirk case. We watched him be murdered, and then we watched the feds lie to us rather fanatically. The text messages, I think, were really the what is going on. And now they're yelling at us for noticing. Like, we are all being abused right now by the press, right? They're trying to spin it. No, I can't believe people have questions. The conspiracies are so bad. These text messages were totally legit. Anybody who wants to investigate it further, crazy. Oh, just totally crazy. We're all clinically insane. We should probably consult a physician. How dare we? It's inappropriate. Candace, they always say this, she must be suffering from postpartum psychosis. Okay, whatever you want to call the thing is that I'm suffering from when you watch your friend catch a bullet in the neck, you can call it that. Diagnose it if you need to. Anyways, you guys, the time has come for us to wake up. Now, it should unnerve you with that little bit of history that despite their well-documented founding, the ADL is so powerful of an organization that they have been directing the FBI for years, okay? They label people who tell the truth extremists. They put them on a list. I think it effectively works as a hit list. And then they direct and work with the FBI in partnership to go after those extremists, okay? That is a very weird relationship, a strange relationship, an immoral relationship, and a corrupt relationship. Now, I want you to know that I learned that recently, last year, that both the left and the right work with the ADL. Okay, there was this lie that's told publicly. I believed it, that it's just the left. It's all left leaning. No. They work with both the left and the right, the neocons.
Yeah, Candace, everybody knows that. Okay, everybody knows that they do work with both sides of the aisle. But my question, so what does that got to do with the Charlie Kirk situation? Is what I would like to know. So, but Candace Owens, to be honest, she is very captivating. Okay, so whenever she's telling you something, it's a story that it's going somewhere. Okay, so it's very dangerous when people who are well read and they're smart, they're telling you something. Your inclination is to want to believe them, okay? It's for you to believe them. So, yes, I see Norm over here. You're not the only one. You're not the only one who used to follow Candace Owens, support Candace Owens, okay? Yes, yeah. Because I was just like, you know what? All right, before the beginning, I didn't trust her. Then I was like, you know what? I like what she's doing. Then, okay, I started following Candace Owens. But it didn't take me long. I was just like, wait a minute. This does not make any sense, Candace. You know what I mean? Once she wants to prove something, it's like a dog with a bone. Okay? Look what happened with the Macron situation. So she was so hard on the Macron, like, Brigitte Macron, is a whatever is a man, right? So, but my thing is this. So, in France is a secular nation, and where we are right now, right? How what's the name? Bruce Jenner used to be, now is what Carolyn Jenner, right? So we live in a society where if somebody wants a woman becomes a man, it's no longer a big deal. Let's just face it. It's no longer a big deal. You know what I mean? It's legal. A man marrying a man, whatever the rainbow situation, right? So if this is where we are at, then what do you care if Bridget is a man? Is a man married to a man? This is what's happening over here. You might not like it, right? You can talk about it, that's fine. But she went her way, do the entire series and everything else. So in her situation was like, oh no, Bridget did this, when they were going with the Macron, the prime minister. She was a teacher. This was a long, long time ago. Not that it's okay, but the point is, if you can do this about the Bridget Macron and everything else, right? Why can't you apply the same thing when it comes to Andrew Tate? She doesn't want to do that. And she's out there, with Kanye. You know what I mean? And have you ever seen Kanye West's wife wearing anything? That woman walks in the street practically naked. This is Kanye's wife. Why is Candace Owens on that issue? I don't see it. So it's this idea like, okay, you want to be hardcore on this issue, but you have your so-called friends and you don't say anything about it. So yeah, it's very hard for me to trust her because of that. So now the Macrons are suing her. She said that she wasn't going to dismiss the case, but she's moving to asking them to dismiss the case, and they're not dismissing the case. Bridget says she's going to provide biological and scientific evidence to prove that she's female. So just like, Candace, are you going to walk that back? No. Then she came out with accusing the prime minister about the letter. The prime minister put out the letter. And now the goalpost. She keeps moving the goalpost. So the things that she's asking, when people provide, she just changes. So she's not genuine, if you ask me. But one thing I've seen, she believes what she's doing, and that's very dangerous. If this was just satire, she's out here conspiracy, having fun and everything, we're just gonna keep it moving. But there's a lot of people who are clinging on every single word that she's actually saying. So those things, they do actually hurt people. All right, let's listen a little bit more. I was just like, all right, guys, let's just listen it together, okay? If your head is spinning, so is mine. All right, let's continue.
On the right side, work arm in arm with the ADL and feed them names, primarily of anyone, I should say, who is an enemy to the state of Israel. So currently, you have Trump people who I guess are trying to save face for their remarkable lack of curiosity as it pertains to who assassinated Charlie Kirk, who loved them and did whatever he could to support their administration. They're trying to save face and pretend that they're upset, like, oh, we're going to do something. It's not okay that this happened. Look over here, right? Oh, look over here. The ADL put Charlie Kirk on a list. Now that he's dead, we demand post-justice. And Kash Patel's doing that. He's acting right now. He's pretending that he's delivering some form of justice. I think Elon Musk tweeted about Charlie Kirk and TPUSA being on the list, and then it kind of caught fire, and this became the new conservative talking point. The ADL must pay for that. And sure enough, the FBI director, Kash Patel, announced yesterday that this is over. Yes, the ADL was training FBI agents and sharing intelligence in partnership with the FBI. The FBI and the ADL had a partnership sharing intel. They were training agents, and he says no more. Okay, he wrote this in a tweet. James Comey wrote love letters to the ADL and embedded FBI agents with them, a group that ran disgraceful ops spying on Americans. That era is over. The FBI won't partner with political fronts masquerading as watchdogs. Now, if you're on the right, you're supposed to go, yay, justice served. If you're on the left, you're maybe going to be happy that the ADL responded very graciously to this. They issued a statement immediately. They said, as we prepare to observe the holiest day of the year on the Jewish calendar, I don't know, that's just like, I guess they're a victim somehow, we have seen the statements from the FBI Director Patel regarding the FBI's relationship. ADL has deep respect for the Federal Bureau of Investigation and law enforcement officers at all levels across the country who work tirelessly every single day to protect all Americans, regardless of their ancestry, religion, ethnicity, faith, political affiliation, or any other point of difference. In light of an unprecedented surge of anti-Semitism, we remain more committed than ever to our core purpose to protect the Jewish people. You should know that all of that you just heard, okay, is BS, okay? It's slave slop. We are the slaves, and they are serving us slop right now. the illusion that things are changing, the illusion that it's left versus right, or that it's Jewish Americans versus everybody else. Hey, Jewish Americans, if you're watching this, you want to wake up to the ADL is not your friend at all. They don't care about what happens to you. If you need more proof, you should know that they curiously removed the Azov battalion. They're carving swastikas on their head, Ukrainians murdering people. They removed them from the hate list. Candace Owens is on there, though. I'm sure you guys go to bed and you're worried about Candace Owens and not the people that are carving freaking swastikas on their head and murdering people, okay? They don't care. That's all. This is all just slop. Left versus right illusion, whatever it is. But the more important question that I want to get to is why now? Why are they putting on this performative bit right now? Well, yesterday, I made an offhand remark about the ADL and the FBI sharing an office in Connecticut. Now, I know this because I'm from Connecticut, so there's no way to try to obscure that fact. Back in 2023, actually, a Catholic investigator revealed this and shared it. He addressed it in a series of tweets. Kyle Undercover wrote, I gathered property records for the 19 different states that the ADL has a regional office established. The report reveals that in the state of Connecticut, the ADL shares an office space with the FBI. They also share an office space with the United Nations in New York. Now, same building, across the hall, whatever. That's a fact, and it makes sense. You shouldn't be that shocked when they're owning the fact that they share information. It's easier to share information if you're sharing an office space, right? Anyways, he goes on and he writes, after reviewing the 19 ADL offices, we can see an alarming trend. 63% of the ADL's regional offices are located within various banking institutions. 42% are located within various law firms, ranging from immigration to criminal law. You should keep that in mind for what we're going to talk about later on the show. And 10% are located in Jewish institutions. So you get the point. Why am I telling you this? Because after I made that offhand remark yesterday, I received a rather stunning tip, which I have been able to corroborate, that out of all of the FBI boroughs in the United States, regarding which there are 55 main boroughs and over 350 satellite boroughs, the FBI sent the specific Connecticut borough down to UVU after Charlie Kirk was assassinated. To help investigate the assassination, okay, let's just look at the map again. They decided to go upwards on the East Coast and to send the field office from that borough to UVU.
All right, so this is where now Candace Owens is tying the ADL to the Charlie Kirk situation, okay? So the question to ask is this, right? The ADL has been around for a minute, okay? They've, worked with both parties, left and right. That's just out there. So if Candace Owens had an issue with ADL all along, how come she didn't talk about this prior to Charlie Kirk's situation? So now that some of the FBI from that particular precinct, they've been sent to go and help the investigation at Valley University, where Charlie Kirk, incident took place. There's gotta be something there. You see where this is going. So, to me, how is Candace Owens making that connection? Is what I'm asking. How is Candace Owens making that connection? Would it have made any difference if they had sent FBI, I don't know, from California? You see what I'm saying? Because she can say the same thing. Why are they sending FBI from California? Because California is actually a blue state. Okay? California, Governor Newsom is the governor of California. You fill in the blanks. Why are they sending FBI agents from, I don't know, New York? You just name it. You see what I'm saying? So it can be anything. It can absolutely be anything. For now, the case is under investigation, okay? You can have whatever questions that you want to have, fine. But this is going to go to court, and we're going to see what the evidence is going to be presented. Remember, in a court of public opinion, you can say whatever else you want to say, right? Sometimes you don't even have to provide proof. You can get away with it. But when you go in a court of law, you need to produce the evidence. Why are you saying this? And everything else has to make sense according to the evidence that's being presented. So far, that hasn't been done yet. So why is she so quick to jump into conclusions? There's nothing wrong. Like, okay, you can question, okay, I don't like this, fine. But the way Candace Owens is presenting this thing is just like, hey, hello, I'm Candace Owens. I have discovered something that nobody else has discovered. So let's continue to hear a little bit more. We have other clips to play for you guys, okay? Welcome. Thank you guys for being here. We continue.
I'm wondering why they did that. I'd like an answer. We're probably not going to get it. We're not getting answers on anything. I wonder what moved them to send that particular borough, okay, down to UVU. It just feels like you got a lot around you, a lot of options. It wasn't exactly like necessary for you to do that. Charlie Kirk gets assassinated, and yeah, that person provided proof. They said we are 1,000% certain. I said I'm going to need to see proof. Unbelievably, I'd like to know why they did that, right? I'd like to know why suddenly now Kash Patel is making a strong statement against the ADL. All of that just feels a little too close to comfort. And by the way, how do you separate? I mean, just across the hall. Let's just think that you guys are not speaking to each other anymore. Are we supposed to be this dumb? Okay, completely ridiculous. Completely ridiculous. Wanted to share that. Okay, anyways, jumping back into more oddities that occurred on that day, despite having these federal agents from Connecticut. Now, I have presented to you just thus far, right, that a lot of these witnesses that immediately spoke out to say, here's what happened, here's how many shots, here's what I heard, that they had strange connections to the government or like weren't from UVU at all, were coming from overseas, didn't really make sense. I was trying to understand that. And yesterday, of course, we were trying to figure out who was this mysterious woman that was allegedly seen helping the shooter change clothes. I got that one tip from an individual, completely unrelated, said, yes, there was footage of a person helping the shooter change clothes. And then suddenly we were able to discern, at the very least, that someone in the Broderick Lyman family certainly acknowledges that there was a woman, at the very least, who she suspected could have been an accomplice. She didn't say anything about the person changing clothes, but we can watch that clip again to hear what she says.
If you time how long it took him to get from that little part over to here, it was way longer than it should have been. So I wondered if the girl had given him stuff, like if there is an accomplice. Sorry, you're filming.
And it's said right here. That picture from Sam's across the street, he was right here.
Yep.
Okay, so we received a couple of tips pertaining to who that woman might have been, according to...
Okay, so she has shown us the video, but there's nothing in the video, guys. There's literally nothing in the video. So if somebody else, the woman who's helping this guy change clothes and everything, if they have that on camera, if they have that on video, why don't we see that video? Why don't we see that video? Because that'll be something, right? Oh, here's the person changing clothes. So who is going to be changing clothes in a broad daylight in the middle of nowhere? I also have questions, right? Just like Candace Owens have questions. So yes, you've shown us a video, but that video, there's nothing there. There's people speaking for sure. We don't know who is speaking. We don't know who's changing the clothes, but she's presenting this to her audience like, oh, look, we have verified, we have found something. I'm not, that video, whatever she's shown us, doesn't prove anything. So let's watch a little bit more in case she has more receipts.
Rumor circulating around Orem. Now, I want to be very clear. When we say that this is a rumor, I mean that you should take this information with a grain of salt. We cannot present it at face value because...
No, Candace, you're presenting everything else with something else. So yes, everything coming from you, we have to take it with a grain of salt, for sure. We're in a conspiracy world right now, so you want to be entertained by conspiracy from Candace Owens, come on in. Plenty of seats. Let's continue.
Because we don't have the footage, right? I cannot say this is a fact. I can say that this lead became more interesting to me and that the FBI should clarify things. It's that simple. Let us see all the footage. But they don't seem even remotely interested in trying to help us clarify anything. Anyways, the name...
That's not how it works, guys, okay? Whenever the FBI are conducting an investigation, they are not going to put, this is the quote-unquote the evidence we have found in a public domain. That's not how it works. They are going to collect that evidence, and that evidence is going to be presented in a court of trial, which is going to be public. They're not going to release those stuff right now, okay? That evidence has to be corroborated, it has to be vetted, and they're going to go to court, and they're going to present that. And the defense, they have to cross-examine that particular evidence. So remember, Candace Owens, she's a Catholic, she's a journalist, whatever else it is, right? If it's out here, whatever she's doing just for entertainment purposes, no problem, have at it. But remember, even in a court of law, you need to provide evidence. That's how it works. But Candace Owens is demanding that the FBI should present those things in a court of public opinion. That's not how it works. Everybody knows that. So, but she's taking people in this crusade. Remember, don't forget, it takes time to investigate, to corroborate, to do all that, right? To come up with the case. But Candace Owens presented it. How come the FBI is not showing us this? They're not supposed to show us anything until they go to trial. The trial hasn't started yet. So what you're asking is even impossible. But now once she asks that, knowing there's no way the FBI is going to produce evidence, then it's going to pay. Look, you see, we found this. We asked the FBI to produce anything. They are refusing to produce anything. But I'm out here fighting for my best friend. The so-called best friend. Guys, what are you saying, guys, in the chat? What is the chat saying? All right, fine. Okay. Yeah. No, what I say, truth, I don't believe it. Typically, I stick to those accents unbelievable. Well, the thing is, whatever is fine. You don't have to believe whatever Turning Point is saying. You don't have to believe whatever Candace Owens is saying, right? It's up to you. However, we're not going to be out here pretending like we cannot use our reasoning, like we cannot use our faculties, okay? Just because you don't like Turning Point USA, that doesn't mean I'm just going to take everything, whatever Candace Owens is saying. You know what I mean? If Candace Owens is saying something that's actually true, I'll commend that. I'll commend that. You know what I mean? Like, yes, the FBI director came out putting false information on Twitter. That was unprofessional. That was wrong. Just like, that's not what the FBI director is supposed to be doing. That's fair point. Okay? But if she's going to be out here in this rabbit hole that she wants people to believe her, what she's saying, we have to question what she's telling us. If she's saying all these things, she needs to provide us with proof, enough evidence so we can believe. If you want to believe at every word, whatever she's saying, by all means, it's a free world. Do as you please. Out here, we're going to be like, no, Candace, we need to see the receipts that you're saying. She demanded to see the letter that she said that Charlie Kirk had sent to the Prime Minister of Israel, and she said that the Prime Minister lied. Well, the letter came out. It's a public record right now. And it debunked everything what Candace Owens was saying, backed up what Charlie Kirk was saying. And do you know what Candace Owens came up to say? Was that letter emailed? Was that an email? Was it posted? No, Candace. You said you wanted to see the letter public. The letter is now public. Now you're asking if it was an email or if it was a posted letter? No. You know what I mean? Yeah. If you want to be swept by her conspiracy theory, by all means. I used to be Candace girl, so I'm not just making things up. But we continue out here. We're just going to check. If she said things that are true, hey, by all means, okay? But welcome. It is so good to see you guys being here. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here. Bring those comments. We are sure going to interact with them. Let us continue.
That we had received was, it turned out, somebody that actually provided the only eyewitness testimony of having seen the shooter up close, limping. So it's possible, just to run the other side of things, that this woman captured both of them walking back to back, and she just was walking near him and she had nothing to do with helping him change. That's all possible, and you should consider that possibility. We don't have answers. But there's something else that's interesting about her. Like I said, the testimony that she provided is interesting, and she is the only person that saw the shooter limping up close. And her name, and we know this because she spoke to the news, they all did, is Olivia Robertson Cobb Bishop. Let's listen to her testimony now.
I kind of realized the type of street I was on, a little bit more secluded, you know.
Olivia Bishop retraces her steps where she came face to face with Charlie Kirk's alleged killer.
Just looking over, seeing that he was limping, kind of being like, oh, okay. And then long black shirt, kind of thinking that's kind of weird. It's kind of super hot outside.
Bishop says something seemed a little off.
I did look over at him and he was kind of like that was his face, just kind of like not a smile or anything.
From the expressionless demeanor, long sleeve shirt during a hot summer day, to the limp.
It's kind of odd. I don't know. Like now that I think about it, it's just very chilling to me.
Chilling after reading charging documents online and seeing this video of Robinson walking away from UVU after Kirk was shot. That's when she realized she'd been only feet away from the accused killer. Now she questions whether she could have done more.
Had I seen the imprint of a rifle down his leg, if I had looked at him a little longer, then immediately after that happened, would I have thought back to him, you know, and been able to alert authorities quicker.
Bishop realizes there's nothing she could have done differently.
But just to have been an eyewitness to him on his way there is just shocking to me.
I gotta say, when I saw that, I was actually kind of giddy because I was like, finally, it looks like a college student from UVU who is speaking to the news. That's great. And of course, I then had to wonder what she was studying. And it turns out, no, she doesn't go to UVU. I don't know. A lot of these people were not available that day. But what she does for a living is quite interesting because there's an emerging pattern. And for whatever reason, nobody who spoke to the press said what their connections were. It turns out that she works for the Orem Police Department. She's a record specialist. And I should tell you guys, kind of unbelievably, in August, if you're going to believe this, they kind of lost a lot of people that were working at the department. There's a Facebook post, people that were retiring, a lot of changes that were happening. I don't know when she started working there, but she works at the Orem Police Department, and we're hearing a lot of stuff about some plausible corruption that might be going on there. And I just said, wow, okay. Curiously, she also purports to be a close witness to when Charlie got shot. And I'm wondering, if you work for the Orem Police Department, what were you doing going to a Charlie Kirk event in the middle of the day? Like, assuming that's a full-time job. Charlie spoke on a Wednesday. What were you doing there at all, actually? Is this like the longest lunch break ever? Meeting up with some friends, she says. Meeting up with some friends, okay. Another thing that we were able to learn is that she met up with her husband. Like, how are all of these people just allowed to leave work to hear Charlie Kirk speak? I'm interested. So I reach out, obviously, today, called the records office, sent her a text. We were able to find her number. She doesn't want to speak about anything. She says that was it. She just wanted to speak right there, give her testimony, and that she gave the appropriate information to the appropriate authorities. So that there, beyond that, is just going to be a dead end. But I'd like to take a broader look at our witness tree, because it's growing, right? It's growing, our witness.
Oh, guys. All right. So, yes, you whatever you've heard is what I've heard, right? So, Candace Owens has an issue with this lady because she works for the police department. What was she doing on Wednesday at that particular location instead of her being at work? Well, what if she works at the police department? Okay, what if Wednesday was her day off? Okay, is it a crime to go to Charlie Kirk's event, because those are public events? It was in a public place at a public university. So what's wrong with that? What if Wednesday was her day off? What if she works at night, right? She goes to work at night. She has a night shift. That was during the day. Is it okay for her to go to Charlie Kirk's event? And now if she's saying like, okay, she has given her testimony to the appropriate authorities, what's wrong with that? So you want her to be giving, Candace Owens, she's not a lawyer. Candace Owens is not a police officer. Candace Owens is not even a spokesperson for Turning Point USA. Candace Owens is not even a family member of Charlie Kirk and anybody else associated with that. So she wants to be the one receiving this information. For what? Why should she be the one receiving that information? Huh? Does that even make sense to you guys? So I was just like, okay, so if this person works whatever with the police records and everything, so therefore this is her connecting the web, okay? She shouldn't have been at that particular place. What if she was there to drop her child? Well, I mean, you fill in the blanks. So what does that got to do with Charlie Kirk's situation? So far, I haven't seen anything. But Candace Owens wants you to believe that for somehow, one way or the other, this lady has to be connected to something else. She has to be connected to something else. And okay, even if this lady was connected to something else, right? Let's grant her premise. Right now, they're under, the investigation is going on. They're going to go to court and things are going to be proven. That's it. That's just about it. Nobody has said anything implicating this woman. So, according to the law, innocent until proven guilty. Even this young man who's in jail, right, is presumed to be what? To be innocent until proven guilty. So you cannot just take whatever you think, according to Candace Owens, it's about her vibes, it's about her gut feelings. Something does not sit well with her. So we should be going with her feelings. The same one who believes that facts don't care about your feelings. So we should just drink this Kool-Aid that Candace Owens is offering us. I would like to say no, Candace. But she's not done. So far, she hasn't proven her case, okay? With everywhere else where she's going, all the people that she's accusing, okay? So she started with the ADL. Now they've broken up with the FBI, okay? Some people, FBI agents from Connecticut, have been sent to help out with the investigation. Now we have this issue, okay? So the issue is just like, okay, so Candace Owens, if all these other things are what it's not supposed to be, okay, I believe you, I grant you. So now, Candace Owens, can you now provide to us the real story? Can you provide with us the proof, the real thing that took place? Because that's what you're supposed to do. You know what? It's not this young man. Guess what? It's this particular person. So what is it that Candace Owens is providing to us to counter what's already there, what's publicly known, what's there? Because whatever she's cooking is conspiracy. Anybody can cook up anything else. So here's mine. So Candace Owens, you are best friend to Charlie Kirk. If Charlie Kirk is your best friend, how come you are not there at the University of Utah, at the Valley University? How come you're not there? Why is it that you said that Charlie was supposed to announce you publicly that you were back with Turning Point within 48 hours? How come you were not there? I would like to know. And then you didn't show up at the memorial, but you said you were going to go to Kanye West concert and everything else. Why? I would like to know. So something is not adding up, guys. Candace Owens' best friend, Charlie Kirk, she was nowhere to be found on the day that Charlie Kirk situation took place. And during the memorial, Candace Owens was nowhere to be found. As a best friend, I also would like to know. So we are also, we need to investigate more on that angle. All right, but let's hear her. We could
Industry. We've got Tiffany Barker, of course. She's with the nieces. Her sister was Phil Lyman's running mate. She spoke to Good Morning America in the wee hours of the morning after. Phil Lyman, of course, our guy, he really does not like me at all. He wants me to know that he thinks I'm shady, that I'm an accomplice to something. He ran for Utah governor in 2024. He's featured George Zinn on his website at that time, spoke to Alex Jones, Fox News, News Nation, really anybody that would have him. Now we have Olivia Bishop. She works for the Orem Police Records Specialist. And she works as the Orem Police Records Specialist. And she spoke to local news. Who else do we have here? Well, let me show you this other video, which gets interesting, okay? Check out this USA Today video of people speaking about what they heard and what they saw. Take a listen.
It sounds like lightning. It was so loud, I thought the shooter was right there in the crowd. And apparently he wasn't. Apparently he was far off. Everybody got down, and I instantly just started praying for Charlie Kirk. And the girl I was next to, she was bawling because she had seen it. She had seen the graphic imagery of the bullet piercing his neck and opening his neck up. And I can't imagine what it was like to see that.
I actually was just walking up. I was going through the event with a friend, and so I was in the back of the crowd still walking to get closer when I heard the pop of a gunshot, and people started screaming and running. So I took a knee, just out of habit from being in the Marine Corps, and people were still screaming and running, and I just decided to look for the shooter, wherever they might be. But people just kept clearing out.
Basically, I just heard a shot, and I saw him falling towards the left, so I knew he got shot in the collarbone or the neck right here, but I didn't see bleed immediately. I just saw and I heard, and we all crouched down, and I wish there was a better security. I was a little surprised when I walked into the courtyard and there wasn't any metal detector. There were securities around the building, but it wasn't really solid.
Okay, so to show you who those individuals are, a lot of software engineers, we can pull back up Emmanuel Ferrier. You saw his name there again. We're pulling people that spoke to the press publicly. We're not revealing any information here, but he works for Domo Incorporated. His history is that he is a software engineer, a technical advisor. His name is German in origin. I'd like to know a little bit more. Also, when I look up these people, by the way, none of them have reached out to me. Like from the minute that this all happened, I asked for information. For whatever reason, these people were very anxious to speak to the press right after, but then we're like, you know what? We're not gonna speak to anybody else about that. Same for Gurno owner. We covered this. He was with Phil Lyman's nephew cousin. We learned was a software engineer from Austria. So Austria, Germany, okay. Featured in Shaner's Instagram. And that guy, Scott Robbins, that you saw looking like a college kid, well, he was also a gubernatorial candidate. He ran for governor of Utah in 2024. Nobody mentioned this. I guess all of these USA Today or AP, nobody asked them like who they were.
So these people, guys, if somebody is an eyewitness, okay, they're asking them, what did you see? You see, like you're on the news. They only have a few segments. They're not there to be sharing their profile. Like, oh, I'm this, I'm that. Unless when they bring in somebody who is an expert, then they will say like, okay, this person is a doctor, is this, whatever, is a lawyer, is particular. But if you're on the news, specifically as a witness, it doesn't matter what you do, right? You were there, you're sharing what you saw. The news is asking you these other things. So to me, what these people do in their profession has got nothing to do with what has taken place. If there is something that's connecting them, professionally speaking, that cannot be proven right now. That has to be proven in a court of law. You see what I'm saying? If there's some suspicious or there's something that they're connected to. But as it stands right now, okay, would it matter if these people were, or somebody who doesn't have a job just got fired? You see what I'm saying? They don't have any job. They are just a stay-home daddy. Is Candace Owens going to have an issue with it? Like, what was a stay-home dad doing at Charlie Kirk's event? How come he wasn't babysitting? You see what I'm saying? So fill in the blanks. So it's an issue if these people have a profession. It will be an issue if they didn't have it. But there were so many people at that event, guys. Okay, so people must have seen something. It was a public event, so I don't understand where this thing is going. But however, Candace Owens, she has managed to find these people's names, their location and all these other things, right? And she's blasting them out here. She does have a lot of followers. You see what I'm saying? Somebody else can listen to this issue and go and do some harm to one of these people. Because we know we live in a crazy world right now. So to me, I'm like, okay, why are you doxing these people? You don't have any evidence. You see what I'm saying? Like, what are you doing? So I'm like, okay, this is, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, if I don't know what Candace is doing, because remember at the beginning, she actually did have a doxing website at the beginning, you know what I mean? Where she used to dox people. So it looks like that habit has not left Candace Owens. So let's hear a little bit more what she's saying over here. Because I was just like, this cannot be real, guys. But here we are. Let's continue.
Or if they were college students and for whatever reason, everybody that they spoke to wasn't that. We will continue to grow this witness tree. Robbie Hild, we've put a TBD on because we're getting crazy information on him. We're calling him Mr. Worldwide over here. Okay, we've got Robbie Hild in the Cayman Islands. We've got Robbie Hild in Spain. We've got Robbie Hild all over. And so that's going to take some time. We need to be more thorough in that. And we will have more on Robbie Hild on Monday. Anyways, guys, this is a good time to take a pause and read some of our sponsors. You guys know I love Riverbend Ranch. Their steaks are phenomenal.
Okay, so, she's taking care of her business there with her sponsor, which is fine. So, but this is the issue that Candace Owens is building her list. Okay, she's going someplace else with this issue. But we do know that, the young man is in jail. Okay, he was, arrested and all that. But we'll see whatever is going to happen. I think it's fair to be like, okay, this and this is not adding up. I think that's fine. You know what I mean? You might not like how certain things were done, which is fair. Okay, those things can absolutely be criticized of. You know what I mean? The press conferences and that young man, okay, he did it by himself. Who else knew something about it? You know what I mean? Like, okay, so he just decided to go and do that. And no prior record. Who are his friends? No social media. What do they call? No social media platform and everything. Apparently he was on Discord. So these are the things like, okay, be like, right now, young person who's not on social media, that's kind of strange. Okay, so who are his friends? Who knew what and everything? I think those are fair things that people can explore. But just to come out and just blast all these other people, like, oh, this person works for this particular place, he shouldn't have been at this particular place, and even going as far as even implicating Turning Point. So there's some tweets I'm going to share with you back and forth what's happening with, Candace Owens' friends, whatever. This thing is a mess, okay? But let's hear our CIA, Candace Owens. All right, guys, what are you guys saying in the chat before we continue over here? Leslie, good to see you. Thank you for being here. Okay, thank you for being here. Yes, Grace Case, yes, she's CIA. She's absolutely CIA. Okay, she's absolutely CIA. So she's here. All right, let's continue.
/Candace. Okay, so it's looking like an operation, right? We are right now living through the JFK assassination. We weren't there for that. The majority of us weren't there for that. I wasn't there for that. But we wondered. We knew we were still being lied to about that assassination. And I just wondered, like AJ did aloud yesterday, did all of the homies of JFK just try to cover it up? I think the answer might be yes. I think he was surrounded. I think he was infiltrated. And then they got rid of him because of wrongthink. He had the wrong ideas. That perhaps maybe every foreign nation should register under FARA. Anyways, how this works is that then you have to kind of put together like a Warren Commission, right, JFK?
Okay, so she just passed that. Remember, they made those public, right? They declassified the JFK files. So If you want to see what happened in there, go and take a look. But, once again, everything is the Jews. It's the Jews. It's the Jews. So, Candace.
Okay, the Warren Commission, a complete and utter farce to pretend like the government's taking it seriously and investigating. Well, if Tyler Robinson's going to be our patsy, and I do want to be clear here, I'm not saying that Tyler Robinson is guilty of nothing. Right? It's his gun. There's weird stuff going on there. I don't believe he pulled the trigger. But if they're going to make that stick, then you got to have a lawyer that's working for the prosecution, right? Well, that's what's going on. Recently, Elizabeth Lane went on the Redacted podcast, and she discussed how the prosecutor is picking his opponent in the Tyler Robinson case. Take a listen to her explain that.
Investigative journalist Elizabeth Lane is not giving up on this story. She's been on the ground in Utah connecting the CIA dots, the three-letter agency dots and connections, and she joins us now. Elizabeth, great to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me, Clayton. I looked at Tyler Robinson's case and I thought, well, why don't I get this guy a lawyer? Because that at least puts me near him so I can understand and control the process. And this is times where they couldn't find the guy a lawyer and they were kind of scrambling around to figure out who was going to be his lawyer. And I started approaching different firms in Utah, trying to get him a lawyer for pro bono. So I walked up to one of the most reputable firms in Utah and I asked them if they were willing to represent Tyler Robinson for pro bono case. And I was extremely surprised what I got from them. First and foremost, they were like, yes, we're absolutely on this because we don't believe that what happened to Charlie Kirk was remotely a case of just a single, crazy kid going up and shooting the guy in the neck. Like, we don't believe that. So we are more than willing to represent him pro bono. So I was like, great. So we started the process. And what happened is we realized that we needed lawyers who are actually certified with death penalty. So their certifications didn't live up to that. But there's another interesting thing. When I did find a lawyer that was certified to represent Tyler Robinson, obviously I needed a consent from Robinson's family or Robinson himself, because he's actually not a minor. He can consent himself. Ironically, we were unable to get in touch with the parents because as a lawyer, you can't solicit clients. So it's illegal.
So guys, this is a Samaritan lawyer. Okay, this is a Samaritan lawyer who took it upon herself that she was going to be the one to save Tyler Robinson. That's not how things work. So what does she want out of this issue? So remember, as a lawyer, right, if you have a big case, you know what I mean? It's actually good for you. It's actually good for your platform. So let's just trust and believe that she was just a good Samaritan, okay, who wanted to find a lawyer for Tyler Robinson. So first of all, why did she want to do that? What's in it for her? That's number one. Number two, she said that she was going to be the one finding a lawyer on behalf of Tyler Robinson, because Tyler Robinson said, he cannot afford a lawyer. So because he cannot afford a lawyer, so it'll be a pro bono lawyer. You know what I mean? The government is going to provide a lawyer for him. However, because the case, what he's been charged with is death penalty, you have to be death penalty certified lawyer in order for you to represent Tyler Robinson, okay? And they didn't have lawyers who are death penalty certified. So, clearly, it would be difficult for him to what? To find a lawyer, so to speak. So, it's not just a matter of just finding a lawyer. He needs to find a good lawyer who is going to put up a defense on his behalf. So if his parents don't want to return the phone call, they don't know you. They're not obligated to return the phone call. What makes you think that it should be you? To me, it does not make any sense. But she's out here on the platform, right? So everybody, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is the time, right? If people want to grift on this issue, it's open season. So let's hear her reasoning over here. And plus, where is the evidence that you contacted Tyra Robinson's parents? How do we know that's actually happened? We should just take her word for it? That's what she did? What if she's lying? How can we verify? Hello? All right, let's hear a little bit more.
You can't just announce yourself that I'm going to represent Tyler Robinson. So I started doing that. So I got into this process and I asked my local lawyer firm, hey, what's the best way to go around here? Like, we need help to get the lawyer from New York who is certified to represent Tyler to get on the case. So he said, whatever you do, Elizabeth, do not get in touch with the firms in Utah that are the most powerful because they are in on it with the state. No matter what happens, they will take the side of the state. I did not listen to him. And I ended up calling one of the biggest firms in Utah just to ask for an advice. Like, what is the situation here? here. What can we do? They started screaming on the phone. And I was like, why do you even care? Like, you don't have a dog in this fight. Why are you so rude on the phone? So then I said, listen, there is a lawyer who's qualified and he's actually very famous in New York, wants to represent this kid. All I need is a consent from Tyler Robinson to do so. And we think that you can help. To this, I got a very rude response that only SCORDIS is allowed to find a representation for Tyler Robinson. So SCORDIS is a guy who's running as a state prosecutor. So here's the problem with that. State prosecutor cannot be responsible to find a lawyer for a defendant. That's illegal. So
Right, that they're choosing their own opponent.
yeah, that's what it seems
And this
like.
is something that I've been wondering about, because it seems like an open and shut case for any defense attorney, because the government has presented such a crap case, unless his attorney is a shill.
Yes. So what I know is that SCORDIS is running as a state prosecutor. He's running. Everyone can look it up. It's on his website. So it's not quite illegal for him to find a lawyer for Tyler, but it would be illegal if he was a state prosecutor. But what it is, though, is highly unethical.
So it's not illegal, but it's highly unethical. The court, the lawyer will be appointed on behalf of what's his name, Robinson, because he cannot afford his own personal attorney. You know what I mean? The state of Utah has to provide for him, and when they find whenever they find these defense attorneys, right, they get paid the same fee as, how do I say, a private attorney is going to cost more as opposed as a pro bono, right? So for example, I think the budget for him is going to be $1 million. So whatever lawyer they get, that's the amount of money they're going to get paid. It's not going to be more, it's not going to be less. Okay? So most big firms don't want to do that because they are in business. So if they are being appointed, be like, they don't want to do that, right? But if you're paying your own, that's why defense attorneys are very, very expensive. So, yeah, but here we are. So Candace Owens, oh my goodness. Let's see where she's going to take this. All right.
Unethical. And the reason why I wanted to show you that clip is because I've learned a lot over the last couple of years. And what I can tell you is that this gang that's running everything, okay, they also are controlling the courts. That's how you get a prosecution against somebody that makes no sense. And why do you do that? Because typically you're hiding government's crimes, right? You want people to stop looking. You want people to stop asking questions. You're not just asking questions. Yeah, no, we are implying here that everything you're telling us about the Tyler Robinson case makes no sense. But these people control the courts. And I got to tell you another thing. I want to be very clear. They even have figured out how to run a kangaroo court system, total kangaroo court system, where judges do not have to follow the law. Okay, Ian Carroll was on my show speaking about this, pertaining to Justin Bieber. It is a fact. Arbitration courts, so they get you to sign a contract and you agree if you have an issue, go to arbitration court. Most people don't know what that means. It's a private court where the judge does not have to follow the law. They can just say you're guilty. And when you get to that level, there's usually a couple of reasons why they got these players that work for the government and are willing to lie and cheat and steal. And it is because the government needs a prosecution, or you've pissed them off and they need a conviction against you because they're trying to bankrupt you. Okay, the corrupt cases, when you get really close to a truth, the government swoops in to try to bankrupt you. I am living proof of that. Never in the history of the world ever has there been a sitting leader of a foreign country that has sued a podcaster or a news member, even a journalist in a foreign country for defamation, okay? I am the first. It is because we are getting close to a lot of truth when it comes to Brigitte Macron, okay? And so now what they're doing is they're calling their cronies. Brigitte Macron has hired former federal prosecutors, and she's hiring a firm here. Why? Because the next option is Candace and Shut Up, we're going to bankrupt her. These are the people that want you to believe they're successful in life organically. No. The entire system is rigged. It's rigged, okay? If you get too close to them and too powerful, usually suddenly a person gets inclined to commit suicide. We don't know why. And then suddenly there's a hostile takeover of their company, or, a random person shoots them, right? If there's any threat against them, it's either you're smeared, you are bankrupted, or you die in rather mysterious circumstances. So why?
So here, Candace Owens, okay, yes, some truth to what she's saying. Are they corrupt judges? Are they corrupt police officers? Those things are true. Those things, they do exist, okay? So, but however, now because it has hit close to home, Candace Owens, she was the one who was out here, the Brigitte Macron. It wasn't just one episode, okay? She did the entire series. She went on. Brigitte got tired of it. They told her cease and desist. Candace Owens never stopped. So what recourse do they have? but to go to court. And if they're going to go to court, what else are they supposed to do? Make sure they get the best lawyers to present their case so that they can win the case. And yes, what is the, they're going to sue for damages, right? They're going to sue for damages and all those other things. Yeah. So if they're coming for Candace Owens' bank account, whatever, Candace Owens put herself in that situation, okay? Because you were out here defaming that woman, that she's a man and everything. If Candace Owens, what she's saying is actually the truth, right? What do you care? What do you worry? You're going to go to court. You are going to produce evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that, well, this woman is a man. So now you win the case. You see what I'm saying? So you can, in turn, you can sue them. So the money comes to you. So when she's talking about arbitration, whatever, yes, because I think that's where her and Daily Wire, what's his name? Shapiro, okay? They went there, okay? So I think the agreement was she doesn't talk about Ben Shapiro. You know what I'm saying? They go their separate ways. That's just about it. Because if you notice, you never hear Candace Owens saying anything Ben Shapiro, this, that, and the third. Okay? Because I think that was, they sorted it out in that particular court. So that's why she says she's living proof of it with experience. But as far as Brigitte Macron, you put yourself in that particular situation. So the problem with Candace Owens, right? She's cried to wolf way too many times. So by the time she's telling you something that's actually the truth, it's just like, Candace, you've been at this way too many times. People are just going to stop listening to you, okay? Because you're taking people to nowhere. Okay? You're taking people to nowhere. You're picking and choosing the causes that you're going to pick. The other stuff that are similar to the same situation, you ignore. Okay, she's on record defending Andrew Tate. So I'm like, okay, you're fine defending Andrew Tate, but you're out here want to be rah about Brigitte Macron? No. So this situation has happened to Charlie Kirk. So it's the ADL, it's the FBI, or it's Bibi Netanyahu, or it's Israel. And then she come, I did not say that Israel killed Charlie Kirk. I'm just out here asking questions. That's what she does. So apparently, this is what breaking, okay? The Kirk family, along with the Turning Point USA, is getting ready to file defamation lawsuits against various media organizations and individuals who tarnished Charlie Kirk's reputation following assassination. Andrew Covert, a spokesperson for Turning Point USA, mentioned in a podcast with Scott Jenkins, "We are documenting everything and keeping track. We have excellent legal representation." So already Candace Owens, she's been on record on her show questioning some of the Turning Point workers. Andrew Covert is best friends to Charlie Kirk, and Candace Owens has also questioned him. So if they go through with this, is Candace Owens going to be one of the people? Who knows? But let's continue to hear Candace Owens, the CIA agent. We continue.
Watch this because you're learning the playbook. Everybody's waking up right now. You need to pay attention to this. This is another one of their mechanisms. They control the courts and they will get whatever it is they need to get accomplished in the courts, whether it's bankruptcy or a conviction that makes literally no sense, as is going to be the case with Tyler Robinson. They're going to convict him, right? They found their patsy. They're going to make it work, and they're going to keep threatening the rest of us for noticing that nothing makes sense at all. Anyways, further to that point, I had done, and if you have not watched it, you should jump into the Epstein series that we paused because this happened, where we talked about that, the hand of Midas, making these people executives. We're more successful because we're brighter. No, you're more successful because you're more corrupt. You're willing to lie, cheat, steal, and kill, actually, to get whatever it is that you want. And the Jeffrey Epstein story has all of those elements, right? And our government, I think actually it was the day that Charlie was killed, quietly voted. We're not going to actually release any Epstein files. Wow, how do they maneuver that? Well, Marjorie Taylor Greene has been very loud about how she is against that, and she has grown increasingly vocal, and she feels the need, as she did a couple of days ago, to publicly clarify that she is not suicidal. She wrote, "I am not suicidal, and I'm one of the happiest and healthiest people that you will meet. I have full faith in God, and Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. As a sinner, I am only saved through his grace and mercy. With that said, if something happens to me, I ask you all to find out which foreign government or powerful people would take heinous actions to stop the information from coming out. Not only about this issue, but because of the truth that I have been speaking, the people understand what I am saying. Yes, we are the people, and we understand what you are saying. We understand why speech is considered so dangerous, why the ADL creates a list. that features people like Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA and Candace Owens. Why speech is so dangerous is because if it carries truth, it speaks to power. And power is not truth. Power at this moment is a lie. It is a carefully woven lie everywhere. We're against all of us. That is why I say the action that you can take, right? Don't feel hopeless. Understand they're actually panicking right now. What can you do in your household? Well, the first thing you can do is do not put your children in their matrix. Take your kids out of school. These sleeper cells are all across the nation, okay? And we're going to get into this next week. I wanted to make sure that I could get more thorough and show to you the Ukrainian connections that are coming across in this that are very strange, but I guess not so strange when you pay attention to the last shootings, trans shootings that have happened. The Catholic school shooting, the person was scribbling in their notebook recently, the shooter in Cyrillic. What's that about? What's that about? Why do we suddenly have Russian speakers that are involved in these sorts of things? We are looking at a program, and we're going to speak more about that because you have to understand it is dangerous what's happening right now. It's a dangerous game, and we're playing with dangerous people. And if it ever needed to be said, I am certainly not suicidal. I'm angry. I'm angry at people that are homicidal is really what's happening, and enough is enough. And if we are not brave enough to speak out, if we are not brave enough to take that action and to begin something as minor as homeschooling our kids, getting out of their system entirely, then our children are going to inherit a world in which the truly evil people have completely wrapped everything, right? They have wrapped everything and they control everything. It's up to us, guys, and I think we're close. So I'm going to leave that at that. Speak about a couple more sponsors before getting into some of your comments.
So, yes, Candace, the Epstein files, we know. Personally, I don't think the Epstein files were ever going to see the light of day. Okay? Yes, it is the Epstein files. She's correct there. She's, yeah, you're right. And yes, parents need to be responsible for their children. You know what I mean? Be the primary educators of their children. She's correct there. Okay? What else did she say? It's truth, right? Like, yes, truth is absolutely important. Truth is absolutely important. There's some people who doesn't want the truth to come out. They live on lies. Those things do happen, right? So Candace Owens, she has a big platform. She has a huge following. She can pursue what she's pursuing. In a way, you just pursue the truth. But she has added way too much conspiracy to her things that it's very difficult to take her serious, to be quite honest, okay? Some of these things, like they say, right, the Occam's laser. The simplest explanation is probably the truth explanation. But like when you're getting people to all these rabbit holes, it's just like, you know what? I'm sorry, I can't go there with you. Okay? I'm sorry, I can't go there with you. So if there are, nefarious actors at play and everything, you have all those people, bring those out, expose those out. So far, Candace Owens, she has paraded all these other people who spoke to the media. That's just about it. What was their crime? Their crime was they spoke to the media. What was their crime? Their crime, it was they were present at this Turning Point USA public event. Guys, that's not a crime. Okay? It's absolutely not a crime. But Candace Owens is tying it to that them being there, it's a crime. And the profession, whatever occupation they do, is it a crime? It's not a crime. Okay? They have jobs. Okay? They go to work. They were Turning Point. So all the things that she has presented, it's not a crime. It wasn't wrong for them to be where they were at. So far, to me, she hasn't moved the needle. Okay? The other things, yes, let's question about this, whatever. The text messages, that's not how teenagers communicate. That's fair. You know what I mean? That's a fair game. That they don't speak in full sentences, especially when they're texting all those things like, what's happening over here? You know what? Yes, I'm also questioning that. But Candace Owens has taken us all over the place. So just like, okay, which is it? CIA agent Candace Owens.
What's wrong with you people?
Exactly. So that's what we're going to have. So here is what's his name? Andrew, the best friend of Charlie Kirk. Because Candace Owens is out here saying, my best friend, my best friend, my best friend, my best friend. Okay? So was she friends with Charlie Kirk? Yes, they were friends. But the way she has portrayed their friendship as if she was exclusive, the only one. And to be quite honest, I'm like, okay, so Candace Owens, let's be honest. Charlie Kirk is married, okay? You are also married. Why would you have a married man as your best friend? I'm sorry, that doesn't make any sense, okay? You are a married woman. He's a married man. Why are you best friend with someone else's husband? Nah? Why are you friends with someone else's husband? That's not how things work. Okay? You were friends with Charlie Kirk. Let's just leave it at that. So, but right now you've gone to the lengths to be doing all these other things. And like, you know what? Now people are actually questioning, like, what's going on over there? Okay? Is there more to it? Oh, this is just Candace Owens. Huh? So just like, yeah, you're doing too much. And people are wondering what's happening. Okay, so let's hear what his best friend had to share.
Charlie, for the gospel to go out from the world's most powerful men and women. And it was an amazing triumph, but it was good also because it gave us something to put our shoulders to and to really invest in and accomplish on behalf of Charlie and his legacy and on behalf of the mission that he leaves us all with.
Yeah, it really was a beautiful service. Let me ask you this. I see a lot of people online accusing Turning Point of not being more transparent, not being more helpful. Maybe you're behind this. I mean, the conspiracy theories are crazy. Has the FBI asked you guys for the videos that you guys took of that day so that they can analyze everything? Have they been interviewing everybody to understand this situation? I guess people are just wondering, is the FBI giving their very best in order to find the truth and bring justice for Charlie Kirk?
Yeah, no, I go back and forth on this topic because on the one hand, I'm so close to it, so I see so much behind the scenes, and I can't always talk about everything that I see. But on the other hand, I have a lot of compassion for the audience and for the people on social media, because we've been lied to. We were lied to about COVID. We were lied to about the 2020 election in so many ways. We were lied to about a lot of things. And so it's natural to have skepticism. It's natural to not believe certain narratives. I totally get that. And, that's one of the reasons why I agreed to come on your show, Stephen, and talk about this stuff is, and so it's a good opportunity to kind of set the record straight. And I just want to say, like, first of all, I'm not next to kin. I'm not related to Charlie Kirk. I don't get the updates. I'm not Erica. She doesn't share everything that she's getting updated on with me. So just keep that clear. Secondly, because of the role that I have with Turning Point as its spokesman, things that I say now, could implicate the trial. That could implicate the investigation negatively. It could taint a jury pool. So I'm very, very cognizant of the things that come out of my mouth and the conversations that I engage in with all of this. And just to answer, I think you asked about the footage. Yeah, immediately all of the footage went to the FBI. So they have all of that. We're, not only are we not permitted to sort of share that footage publicly right now, I would also say it's like 4K video. We shoot in 4K at those events. And I simply think that that's a very morose, morbid thing to share with the world. My friend Charlie getting assassinated in 4K. Like, I'm sorry, I just find that to be distasteful. And the fact that people feel so entitled to have that footage, I don't share that view. I'm compassionate that they care about him and they love him and they want to fight for him. So it's like a conflicting thing inside even me. But that being said, the FBI already has it. Multiple agencies are reviewing it. They've looked at every piece of that video. I can assure you. So I don't know what to tell everybody. I get the impulse, and I actually do love that people love Charlie so much that they want to see us fighting for him. They want to see us fighting for him. And I would just say this, and leave you with this: if you're out there listening to this and you want to see justice for Charlie, and you want to know the truth about what happened with Charlie, I can assure you, Erica Kirk wants that more. I want that more. Everybody in the office that I'm in right now wants that more. I can assure you that we are not sleeping on anything. We're aware of all the things that you're saying. We're seeing it all, right? But I also have to be very careful, and I hope people will give me a little bit of grace in this, because there's a lot at stake here. And I will say, some of the things that I'm most interested in is there seemed to be an awareness on social media before this happened that something was going to happen. It seems like there was other people that were looped into something big was going to happen. I saw these tweets that were being shared, these messages that were being shared. So I want to know how big the network is. I want to know who knew what, when, and was anybody financing them? Who radicalized them? These are questions that I am desperate to get to the bottom of, because I think it's really important, ultimately, as we see this rise of left-wing violence and justification for political assassinations rise across the country. I think it's critical we know what is fueling this, what's behind it, and who's funding it. And in this particular instance, who else knew? Because if you knew that a crime was about to be committed, one so vile and disgusting, you deserve to be punished as well. And so that's something I'm very, very interested in seeing brought to conclusion. But again, I'm told that the communication has been robust. I'm told that the investigation is being done by the best of the best. I'm told that there's full cooperation between state, local, and federal law enforcement agencies, and that no stone will be left unturned. But also, there is when you are building a case, I'm also aware that you got to measure twice and cut once. You don't want to just go throwing out indictments willy-nilly before you have a lockdown case, because getting those overturned could jeopardize the entire case for getting justice for Charlie. So I'm not an investigator. A lot of this is over my pay grade, but I will just say, if you think you want justice and you think you want the truth, I can tell you that his best friends, the people closest to him that spent every day for the last 8 years interacting with Charlie, I want it more. Trust me.
Yeah.
Yes. So, oh, she did ask something about Candace Owens, because I was just like, okay, he's out here responding to Candace Owens. So let's watch a little bit, because I heard Candace Owens. Let's see.
Candace Owens said yesterday, I believe, like, why aren't Charlie's friends fighting for him? Why is it me that's out here? And I thought that's kind of an inappropriate dig. Of course, you guys are trying to get to the truth. But again, I think in the absence of information, you've got all these people saying, where's the autopsy? Was there a coroner report? How do we explain the bullet? They're reliving. I mean, I even went and walked the entire crime scene just to try to understand this better. But you mentioned something about the justification of violence and crime. I read earlier today.
Okay, so yes, obviously that was a response to Candace Owens. Because Candace Owens, yes, she's acting like that. Like, she's the only one who wants to know the truth about Charlie Kirk. Everybody else doesn't want to know. And like what he said, like, no, he is not the next of kin. So Erica Kirk is the one who's going to be hearing things than anybody else, to be quite honest. So, because Candace Owens was demanding that this guy sends the video to her, okay? Like, Candace wants to see the video of what took place with Charlie Kirk's situation, which, yeah, I understand why they didn't want to give it to her. It's not appropriate. It's just like, okay, Candace Owens, you can ask, but he is not obligated to give it to you. So, another clip over here, Candace Owens. Okay, Candace Owens. They put it, I don't know what this, Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson, because they're all. Watch this. It's a short clip, guys. Okay.
He informed people at Turning Point, as well as Jewish donors and a rabbi, that he had no choice but to abandon the pro-Israel cause outright. Okay, Charlie was done. He said it explicitly, that he refused to be bullied anymore by the Jewish donors. Did he also express that he wanted to bring me, Candace Owens, back because he was standing up for himself? And then did he, just 48 hours later, conveniently catch a bullet to the throat before our onstage reunion?
In June, for example, during the 12-day war, such as it was with Iran, the U.S. and Israel versus Iran, bombing on all sides, during that short conflict, there are a bunch of Israeli Defense Force officers in the Pentagon that week. And during that week, they enraged American Pentagon staff by just barging into meetings, giving orders, making demands, and nobody did anything about it. How can a foreign military officer barge into military headquarters, even if invited, but barge into a meeting and start demanding, we want this, we want that, you need to get on this? Huh?
Can you guys answer? Did he express that?
Ask anyone who works at the Pentagon.
Oh, this is, guys. Oh, man. So, yes, Candace Owens, 48 hours before Charlie Kirk's situation, she was scheduled to be on stage. But on stage where? Where? Where is the proof that you were scheduled to be with Charlie Kirk on stage? Where is the contract that you were going to be hired back with Turning Point USA? How come nobody at Turning Point is corroborating that information? As far as our Pentagon is concerned, guys, there is no way, not even your car, you can make it to Pentagon, okay? Because they actually have a separate road, okay, that leads to a parking lot where you park your car and then you find your way to the actual place, okay? So it doesn't matter who you are. It's impossible for you just to barge into the Pentagon, okay? You have to go through security in order for you to enter the Pentagon. But these guys would have you to believe that people just budged into the Pentagon. That's not how it works. Okay? It absolutely does not work like that. But Tucker Carlson is out here discovered people just barged into the Pentagon. Oh man. Oh, are you hearing what I'm hearing? Are you hearing what I'm hearing? All right, so let's continue. Okay. We, short clips over here. Then we'll all right, so should I this is okay. So Candace Owens is in dispute with Laura Roma. Okay, they used to be friends. Now they're arch enemies, if you can call it that. Let's do that. Okay, yeah, they're arch enemies. So this is them right here. This is Candace Owens and Laura Roma. Okay, they're both grifters, if you ask me. So now you won't be able to see. So now they are fighting. Okay, their feud is public. Public on Twitter over here. They're fighting with each other. Okay, who is taking money from Israel, Qatar, the whole nine yards. So this is, it says, stop with your, you think I'm as dumb as the people who buy your conspiracies. You think you know everything and you don't. You just entertain an audience that has been gaslit into thinking you are an honest person. Here is a pic from 2017 we took at Restoration Weekend. I'll never seen a bigger lie in my life. So it's a long tweet over here. I'm not going to read it to you. I'll just summarize it to you. So over here, the Candace Owens is accusing Laura Roma being funded by, what's his name? You see, this is the man that funds Laura Roma, by the way. Keep in mind that Laura was attacking Charlie just before he died and now demands we stop investigating Charlie Kirk's murder. Who is directing her to do that? Okay, so both of them are accusing. So Laura Roma is accusing her that when you used to work for Turning Point, guess who was cutting your check? Okay, it was the Jews who was cutting your check. So that's the fight that's going on over there. You know how it is. So they're accusing each other. Laura Roma, she's actually Jewish. They used to be friends with Candace Owens. So here are some highlights, okay, from Lady CIA Candace Owens, okay? We do have another one, but we just have to leave that for another day because I think we have exhausted enough of the conspiracies. But let's take a look at this one right here, okay?
Individuals are a lot of software engineers. We can pull back up Emmanuel Berrier. You saw his name there again. We're pulling people that spoke to the press publicly. We're not revealing any information here, but he works for Domo Incorporated. His history is that he is a software engineer, a technical advisor. His name is German.
Okay, his name is German, but she is revealing their information. So she's out here just doxing these people, and she says, oh no, we're not revealing any information. We're revealing information.
Origin, I'd like to know a little bit more. Also, when I look up these people, by the way, none of them have reached out to me. Like from the minute that this all happened, I asked for information. And for whatever reason, these people were very anxious to speak to the press right after. But then we're like, you know what? We're not gonna speak to anybody else about that. Same for.
Why should they? Why should they speak to Candace Owens? Are they under obligation to speak to nobody? No. If somebody who is in a position of authority, yes, they'll be able to speak to their authorities. They don't have to speak to anybody, let alone Candace Owens. So that Candace Owens, what? She can use them for her content like she's doing? No.
Gurno owner, we covered this. He was with Phil Lyman's nephew cousin. We learned was a software engineer from Austria. So Austria, Germany, okay. Featured in Shaner's Instagram. And that guy, Scott Robbins, that you saw looking like a college kid, well, he was also a gubernatorial candidate. He ran for governor of Utah in 2024. Nobody mentioned this. I guess all of these USA Today or AP, nobody asked them like who they were, if they were college students. And for whatever reason, everybody that they spoke to wasn't that. We will continue to grow this witness tree.
It does not matter, Candace, okay? Whatever they do, don't do, it's besides the point. But this is her building her conspiracy theory. But she's not done, guys. Here's another highlight. Okay, here we go.
Are a lot of software engineers. We can pull back up Emmanuel Berrier. You saw his name there again. We're pulling people that spoke to the press publicly. We're not revealing.
Oh no, that's the one that I just shared with you guys, right? Why did it came out to be twice? Because I think I had another one. Okay, that's fine. I think it's the same one. So, but anyway, this is where we have arrived with Lady Candace. Okay, she's out here trying to investigate, growing a witness tree. So far, no. The Epstein file, that's the only thing that she said that was pretty much truthful. But as it stands,
all lies will be exposed. That's all. All lies will be
exactly,
exposed.
You know?
That's
Y'all better
all.
get y'all discernment together.
Yes, you know what I mean? You definitely need to put your thinking caps on as far as Candace is concerned. Otherwise, she will take you into this rabbit hole. So yes, while she's busy on YouTube over here, there's so much fight that's going on Twitter with some of her frenemies, whatever is happening with her. Yes, guys. So Candace Owens, you know what I mean? So I don't know. We need to do a Candace Owens series out here. Okay? I'm ready for you to put Alex. Oh my god. I mean, like there's just so much content on her, starting from way back. Okay? Yeah. So Candace Owens has stepped on so many people's toes, you know? Yes, that's what has happened with Lady Candace. All right, guys, let's finish up. We're going to be done at the top of the hour, but we need to cover this breaking news. I don't think it's breaking by now because it's been a minute. So what has transpired? Finally, this man has found his day has come. None other than Robert Morris. Robert Morris has been arrested. So let's take a look at this right here.
Handcuffs, headed to jail after pleading guilty in his Oklahoma child sex abuse criminal case. With that, we say thanks for joining us here at 4 for CBS News Texas. I'm Nicole Baker.
And I'm Ken Molestina. Karen is off today. Robert Morris's guilty plea stems from allegations of abuse of a 12-year-old girl 4 decades ago. That victim now in her 50s. Morris was charged with lewd or indecent acts with a child.
Our Andrea Lucia was inside the courtroom today in Oklahoma. Andrea, can you bring us up to speed right now?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. This is stunning. Robert Morris, the founder of one of our country's largest churches and a former spiritual advisor to President Trump, has been sentenced to 10 years. The first 6 months he will serve behind bars here in Osage County. The remaining 9.5 years will likely be served as probation. He will have to register as a sex offender as part of this. We have been covering this criminal case since March, when Morris was indicted on 5 counts of lewd or indecent acts with a child for molesting a young girl here in Oklahoma 4 decades ago. He faced up to 20 years in prison for each of those 5 charges. But today's plea came as part of a deal that will limit his time behind bars and allows him to serve the probation that will follow in Dallas. Now, cameras weren't allowed inside the courtroom, but I was one of the few reporters who was inside watching as this all happened. The room was packed with friends and family of the victim, Cindy Clemenshire. As you mentioned, she was 12 years old when the abuse began. She is now a grandmother in her 50s. Both she and her sister had a chance to address Morris in court before he was taken away in handcuffs. They talked about how his actions affected their family. Cindy was in tears listening to her sister speak first and tell Morris that his legacy will be one of pedophilia, of betrayal, of lies, of shame. We then saw Cindy get up and talk about how this has affected her life, how she has been in therapy for many years, feeling ashamed of what had happened, blaming herself for what had happened. It has taken her until now to really come to terms with the fact that she is not at fault at all. She told him as part of her statement that even if he never understands the truth or accepts the truth, the state of Oklahoma does. Very powerful words from her. Guys.
So yes, Robert Morris has finally faced justice. I mean, it's not, this is, this is what we call justice, right? But what he did, here is, there's actually a mugshot. Look at this. Let me share this with you guys. So yes, to me, Robert Morris has been found guilty. I guess it was like a settled issue. It was supposed to be 10 years and 9 years is going to be probation, 6 months in jail. He'll be paying for his crimes. And it's unfortunate that, justice delayed is justice denied, right? But this is what happens when we apply our own justice system as opposed to what God has already prescribed in the scriptures, because what he did, that carries the death penalty. But because we don't believe in death penalty anymore, he's going to go there, spend 6 months. After 6 months, he's just going to pick up from where he left from, okay? That is not justice. This is we think we are too good than what God has prescribed. You know what I mean? If what he did back then, okay, he was already disqualified from ministry, he had faced justice from there, he wouldn't have spent all these other years deceiving so many people, not even preaching the true gospel, sending so many people to hell under his false teaching. How many other people? You see what I'm saying? Where their souls have been at stake because hearing a false teacher preaching day in, day out, Sunday in, Sunday out. So, man, Twitter, the way you're coming, just like Donald Trump's spiritual advisor. Just like, Donald Trump's spiritual advisor. He was Donald Trump's spiritual advisor. That's actually true. I know. So that's him out here being escorted in handcuffs. Once a prominent evangelical mega church, the largest church in America, 100,000 members, only to be ending up in handcuffs. So yeah, at least, justice has been saved. It took a long time, but, yes, it's justice. But to me, this is as far as you're going to get, right? What he did, robbing that young girl in exchange for 6 months in jail, So yeah, this is him over here in the suit, the former Donald Trump spiritual advisor, going to jail for the next 6 months and 9 years in probation. But at least he'll be home, right? But whatever he did, the damage is still there. So that's the problem. Like, okay, you want to execute justice according to God's justice, not the man-made justice. So man-made justice says 6 months. God says no. Anybody who causes a little one to stumble like that, a milestone. After a fair trial, okay? It's not just because somebody has done something, no. You need 2 or 3 witnesses. It needs to be proven. If you cannot prove it, according to the biblical, you would rather let a guilty person go than to punish an innocent person. So that was, what's his name? Robert Morris. So Robert Morris will be spending 6 months in jail and 9 years probation. So that was hot, what has transpired. There was one where she spoke herself. Oh, here, this is a mugshot of Robert Morris, finally booked, out there in Texas. So at least it's in jail, but what they do with people who've done things to little kids, right? Whenever they go to jail, So yes, like what I was saying over here on Twitter, people they say over here. So Robert Morris, a MAGA Republican Christian, no trans, not a drag queen, is going to jail for abusing a child. There he is. So like what I say, like, yeah, Twitter is not giving no quarters, and he's like a Trump advisor. I mean, he was actually, it's true, he was Trump's spiritual advisor, so that's not even a lie. It's actually true, but it's so embarrassing, right, for evangelical world. People are not going to make any distinction. Like, oh no, this guy was a false teacher, okay? He's not on a recommended list, but once again, there he is. So Cindy spoke, so let's watch what she said.
To apologize, and he could not even look at us. All new at 10 o'clock, that is the woman at the center of a sexual abuse case, speaking exclusively tonight with CBS News Texas. After the founding pastor of Gateway Church, that man right there, Robert Morris, pled guilty today to abusing her when she was a child. It is a story that we have been on top of since the allegations came to light in June of last year.
That is when Morris resigned from Gateway Church in Southlake. But now, a year and 3 months later, Morris is in jail. And I do mean now. Morris pled guilty to 5 counts of lewd or indecent acts of a child for molesting a young girl, Cindy Clemishire, in Oklahoma 4 decades ago. Part of his plea deal now means spending 6 months behind jail in Osage County and 9.5 years probation, which could be spent in the Dallas area. He will also have to register as a sex offender and pay $270,000 in restitution.
Our Andrea Lucia has been on this from day one. She's joining us live tonight from Pawhuska, Oklahoma. And you spoke.
Yeah, so that, that's the story there. Oh, because I thought like there was one where she spoke. Okay, so let's listen to Cindy, because I'm like, okay, I do remember her speaking. All right, fine. Here, let's watch Cindy in her own words, okay? Here we go.
Counts, and that he'd served some amount of time. And while most people think it's not enough, for me it ensured that he would spend time behind bars.
She had a chance to address Robert Morris, recalling how for years he threatened her to stay silent.
He kept telling me that if you tell anyone, it will ruin everything. And I carried that with me for decades. And today I got to tell him, it wasn't me, it was you.
It was when her sister spoke in court, though, that Clemishire began to cry.
I think it makes me emotional now because, she acknowledged that I may have been different. There are things in my life that would have been different. What would I have accomplished in the last, 38 years if I wasn't carrying the burden that I've carried?
Morris kept his eyes down throughout the testimony, never once making eye contact, never visibly reacting to what was being said.
Did you wish for any other reaction from him other than what you got?
I did. I wanted him to look at me. He never once looked up. And I had a tiny glimmer of hope that he might apologize when he pled guilty. He had the opportunity to look over at my family and to apologize, and he could not even look at us.
Do you feel like you getting a bit of justice today might give hope to other victims?
I hope so. I hope it gives them hope that they don't have to live under the shame. And even if the state never convicts someone, I hope that they know in their heart that it wasn't their fault.
All right, so yeah, that is the conclusion, So yes, we did cover quite a lot on Robert Morris' story situation when all these things were unfolding. So I guess this is the wrap up of everything. Now he's going to jail, faces justice, he's going to be registered. A little bit of justice, so to speak, right? But that's the deal that they cut. That's what happens. But, I'm all for people who do these things. Has to be the final thing according to the scriptures. But nevertheless, this is what has transpired. It looks like, Cindy, she's finally she can breathe. Finally she can breathe. But on the other hand, Morris is also suing Gateway because he wants to get his money. The deal was for him. He's still going to get paid. The wife will still get paid up until she dies, like, $1 million, almost 800,000. Yeah, so I don't know how that's going, but that is what has taken place. So I was like, you know what? While we are here, let's add this story to it. But you guys have been good. So I guess we're going to have to come back to do another, because there was plenty from Candace Owens, okay? We just have to do that for another live, okay? Oh, Nika, yes, I'm sure, because Candace Owens, there's so much whatever material about her. But I think There were some that I had seen, but not like the way you're explaining, like, before when she was going to school, she had sued somebody for being racist, and her family ended up settling, and Candace Owens blew up from there. Went to a Turning Point, PragerU, then Daily Wire. Now here she is, and yeah. So I think then she was posting her videos on her Facebook. Must have been like during George Floyd and stuff like that. Yeah. But nevertheless, here she is now. She used to be Protestant. Now she's Catholic. Out here defending Andrew Tate, somebody she shouldn't be defending. So she's out here wanting to investigate the Charlie Kirk and everything else. If what she's doing, to be quite honest, if she was just ask the normal questions and all these other things, I don't think anybody will be tripping over that issue. But she has dug a rabbit hole where just like, what is going on, Candace? Even the same people who are in her camp, they'll just be like, you know what? No, this is way too much. This is way too far. Okay? She was like, oh, there was a tunnel. Like somebody sprang up from the tunnel, deleted Charlie Kirk, and now she was showing, oh, why are they putting concrete over there? I go, what? All those people didn't see anybody coming from the tunnel? Oh, there was somebody in the crowd, Frank Turek. He had a hat on. Something does not sit well with me. Frank Turek? It's just like, Candace, what are we doing here? So I'm like, okay, so now Frank Turek is a suspect. Oh, Turning Point, they're not fighting hard for her. There was about money that was going on. Charlie Kirk was going to bring me. I was just like, okay. So the other thing, I'm like, okay, so you're questioning everybody. You know what I'm saying? I didn't see her questioning anything about Erica Kirk. Usually when some of these things happens, people always look at the wife, right? So you're being selective who you're trying to look. Not that there's anything whatever with Erica Kirk, but I'm just saying with her, the way she operates, she's picking and choosing who she's going to come after. You know what I mean? Because we already know people already after Erica Kirk, like, oh, she's not crying. She's pretending. She's doing this. She's doing that, right? So, but she came. She said, "Oh no, I understand what she's doing." Okay, so you can understand. But when other people are saying the same thing, it's an issue. So yeah, no. So yes. So looks like Candace Owens is not done. She's continuing to investigate. So we are also going to be here continuing to press her. If this is what you're saying, Candace Owens, produce the evidence. If she produced the evidence, guys, we're gonna come up here and be like, you know what? She was correct here. She produces evidence over here. And if we have to issue an apology, we'll be happy to issue an apology to Candace Owens. Okay? We want the truth to come out. But if she's out here just saying things that do not pass the basic, just analysis, just simplest things, sorry guys, we'll not be able to go there with Candace Owens. Okay? So as we are here like, Candace, you need to go home, George Farmer, where are you? Come get your girl. Come get your girl out here, okay? Come get your girl out here. All right, guys, you've been the best, Nika. It was so nice seeing you. Thank you for being here, okay? Thank you for being here. Oh, straight talk, what right, wrong on earth? I lost my husband. I wasn't acting like this. Oh, I didn't see your comment for some reason, Oh, wow. Oh, where are you? Oh, she's too. Oh, wow. I'm sorry about, I'm sorry you lost your husband. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, for some reason, I'm just seeing your messages right now. Thank you for joining us. I'm glad you were able to make it. She's too superficial and obvious to those of us close to God. Yeah, and like Candace, she always like puts her faith, Catholic and everything else. So I was just like, okay, what about that? You know what I mean? Because like as Christians, to be honest, even if you don't like somebody, you cannot just bring charge. You cannot just bring accusation. Or you cannot just agree with somebody because they're talking about somebody you disagree with. We have to be honest. You know what I mean? Even how we arrive to truth, we have to look at the evidence. So far, the things that Candace has produced, okay, this person works where? And it was at Charlie Kirk's event. And you know what I mean? That event was attended with 1,000. There was a whole bunch of people over there. But it's like, yes, it's not adding up. It's absolutely not adding up. So we just asking those questions, I think it's absolutely fair to do that. But yes, straight talk, no play. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. Yes. Oh, yes, Terry. Yes, yeah, I did play that for you, okay? I did play that for you. All right, guys. Okay, we have to leave it there for now, okay? We'll have more on Candace. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, the conspiracy is not stopping. So at least maybe, if we can help one or two people think twice about the information that they're drinking in from Candace Owens, it'll be worth it. And we can use this thing also for us to learn, right? Not just to bring accusation, or when people are saying something, for us to be able to think critically. You know what I mean? Critical thinking. Make critical thinking great again. Just ask basic questions, just normal things like, okay, is this normal? Just things like that. Yes, for us to be able to analyze things. But all in all, I absolutely appreciate your viewership. I'm so glad that you were able to make it this evening. We're going to have more coming this week. So absolutely stay tuned. Don't forget to like on your way out. Let's continue this conversation in the comments. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Until next time, remember, theology matters. Thank you.